Good morning, students. Myself, Professor M.A. Hippargi. Today, we'll go through the module number 3 of MCF subject, that is tool wear, tool life, and surface finish. So, coming to the tool wear, what do you mean by tool wear? So, we can define tool wear as a with the continuous usage, tool loses its cutting capacity, or we can say that with the continuous usage, cutting tool stops its function, cutting action, not a function, cutting action. Or we can say that with the continuous usage, the performance of the cutting tool found unsatisfactory. So these are the tool wear definitions. A simple definition is with the continuous usage, tool loses its cutting capacity is known as a tool wear. So when you are working on a lathe machine, let us consider when you are working on a lathe machine with a single point cutting tool, with the continuous usage for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, the tool loses its cutting capacity. The tool will get blunt, it loses its cutting capacity, and that is known as a tool wear. Or we can say that it stops its cutting action. With the continuous usage, the cutting tool stops its cutting action. It is also known as a tool wear. Or with the continuous usage of a cutting tool, the performance of cutting tool is found unsatisfactory. It is also known as a tool wear. Now, there are different tool wear mechanisms are there. How the tool is going to be wear? We cannot say that a tool is only weared by one mechanism. So there are totally 4 different mechanisms are there through which the tool loses its cutting capacity. Now we will study one by one. The very first one is known as a abrasion wear. The abrasion term itself indicates that due to the continuous rubbing action between the tool and work surface. So whenever you are working with the any one of the machine tool, the tool is come into contact with the work surface continuously. So there is a continuous rubbing action between the tool and work surface. Due to the continuous rubbing action, some amount of tool is going to be wear, and that type of wear is known as a abrasion wear. Okay. Then next one is a adhesion wear. So whenever there is a metal cutting operation takes place, due to the continuous rubbing action between the tool and work surface, a high temperature is going to be formed in between the tool work interface. There is a generation of a temperature due to the friction between the tool and work surface. The temperature is going to be increases in the tool work interface. So due to this high temperature, a small amount of a tool is going to be broken from the tool and it get adhered to the work surface. This type of wear is known as a adhesion wear. Got it? What is the adhesion wear? Whenever there is a metal cutting operation takes place, the continuous rubbing action between the tool and work surface, the high temperature region is going to be formed in between the tool work interface. So due to this high temperature, a small amount of a tool is broken from the tool and get adhered to the work surface. This type of wear is known as a adhesion wear. Now, third one is a diffusion wear. So here also, due to the high temperature between the tool and work surface, the atoms from the tool are moving towards the chip or towards the workpiece. Due to the movement of atoms from tool to the work or chip, the tool loses its cutting capacity. That type of wear is known as a diffusion wear. The term diffusion indicates that movement of atoms from tool to the towards chip or towards workpiece, and this type of a wear is known as a diffusion wear. Now last one is, it is oxidation wear. So due to high temperature between the tool chip interface, the chemical reaction takes place between the tool and work interface or tool and chip interface with in the presence of a cutting fluid. So oxidation wear is nothing but the same fundamental reason. Due to the rubbing action, the friction is going to be increases. Due to the friction, the high temperature region is going to be found between the tool and work surface. Due to the high temperature, whenever you are using the cutting fluid as a coolant or a lubricant, the oxidation will take place. So due to this oxidation, the tool loses its some cutting capacity. So that type of wear is known as a oxidation wear. So totally the four different mechanisms are there for the tool wear. This is the most oftenly asked question in your examination. Define tool wear and explain tool wear mechanisms. You have to define the tool wear, definition of the tool wear, and you have to explain the four different tool wear mechanisms: abrasion, adhesion, diffusion, and the oxidation wear. Now next bit is tool life. So how you are going to define the tool life? It is a tool life. It is a period of time in which cutting tool performs its function satisfactorily. So tool life is nothing but it is the time of period in which tool tool performs its function satisfactorily, or we can say that it is the time between two successive regrindings is known as a tool life. Now you are working on a lathe machine with a single point cutting tool. Okay, now you are working for several on several workpieces or several day or several hours. Now how you are going to be define the tool life? So tool life is nothing but it is the time for which cutting tool performs its function satisfactorily, or it is the time between two successive regrindings is known as a tool life. Now there is one tool life equation is there. A scientist known as a Taylor, so he emphasized the tool life equation, popularly known as a Taylor tool life equation. So Taylor tool life equation is given by Vt raised to n is equal to constant. Vt raised to n is equal to constant. See here, V means it is the cutting speed in meter per minute. T means it is the tool life in minute. N and C, exponential n and C, these are the two constants which value depends upon type of work material and type of tool material, right? So these values can be identified with the help of a type of work material and type of tool material, and with the help of a cutting speed one can easily calculate the tool life. So Taylor tool life equation is given by Vt raised to n is equal to constant, where V is the cutting speed in meter per minute, T is the tool life in minute, exponential n and C are the constants whose value depends upon the type of work material and a type of tool material, and also it depends upon the parameters like a cutting speed, feed, and depth of cut. Now the sum of the values just I have mentioned here. The exponential n value is 0.1 for HSS. What is HSS? High speed steel. N value is 0.2 to 0.25 for carbide tools and 0.4 to 0.55 for ceramic tools. So how the problems are going to be solved with this Vt raised to n is equal to constant, I will explain in the later posts. Now next bit is effect of process parameters on tool life. Number of parameters those who are affecting the tool life. So some of the cutting parameters are mentioned here. So the very first one is known as a cutting speed. How the cutting speed is going to be affect on a tool life? See here, cutting speed is always inversely proportional to the tool life. It means higher the cutting speed, lower the tool life, lower the cutting speed, higher the tool life, right? Therefore optimum cutting speed is desirable for the tool life. If you increase maximum cutting speed, you will get the lesser tool life. If you decrease the cutting speed, you will get the higher tool life. So desirable cutting speed is meant for the better tool life. Next one, process parameter which will affect on a tool life is the feed and depth of cut. Now what is feed? It is the relative movement of the tool with respect to the workpiece. And what is depth of cut? It is the perpendicular distance between machined and unmachined surface. Now these two feed and depth of cut are also inversely proportional to the tool life. Means higher the feed and depth of cut, lesser will be the tool life. Lower the feed and depth of cut will be the highest tool life. Therefore optimum cutting this feed and depth of cut will leads in the desirable tool life. So cutting speed, feed, depth of cut, all are inversely proportional to the tool life. Now next parameter is known as a tool geometry. So tool geometry means if the angles made on the tool are higher, then there is a chance of breaking of a tool that leads to lesser tool life. Therefore, optimum cone angles, optimum desirable angles are needed for the longer tool life. So whenever the tool geometry you are going to be study, the optimum angle will lead in the better tool life. Next one is known as the tool materials. So tool materials, so different tool materials we have studied already in the last classes. So we can say that harder the tool material, larger the tool life. If you compare the HSS tool and cemented carbide tools for the same working material, you will find that the tool life of cemented carbide is much larger than the HSS, because cemented carbide is much harder than the HSS. So we can say that harder the tool material, larger the tool life. As the tool material will increasing its hardness, the tool life is also going to be increases. Then last one is known as a cutting fluids. What are the cutting fluids? So cutting fluids are nothing but these are the coolants or lubricants which are used in the metal cutting operation to reduce the friction, to reduce the heat generation. So appropriate usage of a cutting fluids leads in larger the tool life. So if we use the appropriate coolant or a lubricant during the metal cutting operation, automatically the life of the tool is going to be increases. So these are the 5 important process parameters which will affect on the tool life. Cutting speed, feed, depth of cut are inversely proportional to the tool life. As these are increases, tool life decreases. Optimum cone angle will give the desired or larger tool life. Harder the tool material, larger the tool life. Softer the tool material, lesser the tool life. Appropriate use of a cutting fluids leads to larger the tool life. So this question is also asked many times. Explain effect of process parameters on tool life, or tool life effect of, that is effect of process parameters on a tool life. So these are the 5 important parameters. Remember. Now next bit is known as a cutting fluids. So as discussed earlier, cutting fluids are nothing but these are the coolants, lubricants which are used in metal cutting operation. So why we need the cutting fluids? What is the uses of cutting fluids? So the main use of a cutting fluid is to reduce the heat generation, to reduce the friction. See, due to the continuous rubbing action between the tool and work surface, there is a continuous increase in the heat generation. So due to the heat generation, the metallurgical changes may be happen into the work material, and the life of the tool is going to be reduces. And due to the continuous heat generation, there is a friction created between the tool and work surface. So to reduce all these things, the cutting fluids are going to be used. So we can say that the benefits of a cutting fluids, purposes of cutting fluids, advantages of cutting fluids are, the very first one is it is used to reduce the heat generation between the tool and work surface. Second one, it reduces the friction. Third one, it increases the tool life. Fourth one, it gives easy removal of a chips. When you are flowing the cutting fluid between the tool and work surface, the easy removal of chips is going to be takes place. Next one, the surface finish is going to be maintained due to the continuous flowing of the cutting fluid on a work material. The chips flows away, therefore the surface finish is going to be attained very accurate size. Then there is a less distortion in workpiece as there is a continuous cooling. That is, if you doesn't provide any coolant, due to the heat generation, there is a distortion maybe takes place into the work material. So due to the continuous cooling action, there is a less distortion of a work material. Then next one is the corrosion prevention on a workpiece. As you are using coolant as a lubricant also, the corrosion prevention is going to be takes place, as it works as a lubricant also. So these are the some important benefits of a cutting fluids. First of all, what are the cutting fluids? Cutting fluids are the type of a coolant or lubricant designed specifically for the metalworking processes. So the coolants are the cutting fluids are the coolants or lubricants which are mainly used in the metal cutting operation to reduce the friction, to reduce the heat generation, to increase the life of the tool, to wash away the chips, to improve the surface finish, to prevent from the corrosion, and finally the cutting action should be with the ease. These are the some important functions of a cutting fluid. Now coming to the next properties of a cutting fluid. What should be the properties of cutting fluid? Whenever you are using the cutting fluid as a coolant or lubricant, these properties must be satisfied. Very first one is good lubricating property. The cutting fluid should not only act as a coolant, it should also act as a lubricant, so that it can carry away the heat also, and it can provide the lubrication between the tool and work surface. That is good lubricating property. Second one is high heat absorption capacity. So the cutting fluids which are used in the metal cutting operation, this should carry away the maximum heat in the tool work interface. So cutting fluids not only cool the workpiece, it also carry away the heat generation or heat in the tool work interface. Emit no toxic fumes when put on the hot surface. So cutting fluid should not produce any toxic fumes when it is poured on a hot surface. Okay. Then chemical stability. The cutting fluid should be stable in nature. It should not produce any chemical effect. Should not produce any chemical effect, and should not produce any harmless to the workers also. Then highest flash point and fire point. So what do you mean by the flash point and fire point? So flash point and fire point leads to, first of all, what is the flash point? Flash point is nothing but it is the temperature at which the oil get momentary flash. It is the temperature at which oil get momentary flash, and fire point means it is the temperature at which the oil get continuous burning. So the cutting fluid should have high flash point and high fire point. It means that whenever you are using the cutting fluid, if the temperature is more in the tool work interface, there should not be any catching of the fire, there should not be any momentary flash, and there should not be any continuous fire. That is nothing but the high flash point. Harmless to the health of the workers. So cutting fluid should not be react chemically, so that it should not be harmless to the, it should be harmless to the health of the workers. And last one is the odorless. Odorless means it should not produce any bad smell. It should give the good smell. So cutting fluid which are used should have odorless, means it should not produce any bad smell. So these are the some important properties of a cutting fluid. The question may be asked, what are the purposes of cutting fluids and what are the properties of cutting fluid? The properties of cutting fluid are high flash point and fire point, chemically stable, harmless to the workers, should not produce any toxic fumes, high heat, it should high heat absorption capacity, good lubricating capacity, and finally it should be odorless, that is should have good smell. Okay, these are the some properties of cutting fluids. Now coming to the surface finish. See, surface finish, it refers to the some important properties of a machined surface. Whenever you are working on a workpiece with any one of the machine, after completion of the work, whatever the machined surface is there, that machined surface is having some properties, and that refers to the surface finish. So we will study one by one. The very first one is known as a roughness. Now what is roughness? Roughness is nothing but it is the relatively closed space. It is the relatively closely spaced on a work surface, and these mainly form of the feed mark left by the cutting tool on the machined surface. See, whenever you are working on a workpiece with the help of any type of a machine tool with a cutting tool, so after completion of workpiece, some marks are remaining on the work surface which is left by the tool, and these marks are known as a roughness. With the figure, I will explain you. So just you remember, roughness is nothing but this is the marks left by the tool on the machine surface after the machining operation. The next one is the waviness. Waviness is nothing but it is the surface irregularities. It is the surface irregularities whose spacing is greater than the roughness. See, roughness is nothing but it is the marks left by the tool on the machined surface after the machining operation. But waviness is nothing but it is the surface irregularities whose spacing is greater than the roughness. And what is the how this waviness is going to be produced in the workpieces? It may be due to the vibration of the machine, or it may be the tool and deflection due to the cutting loads and cutting temperature. The waviness is going to be formed. First one, how the roughness is going to be formed? During the metal cutting operation, the marks left by the tool on the machined surface is known as a roughness, and waviness is nothing but these are the surface irregularities whose spacing is much greater than the roughness. And how it is going to be found? Waviness, how it is going to be found? Due to the vibration of the machine tool or tool work deflection. In some cases, if the foundation is not good, the chattering or vibration of the machine is going to be happen, or the tool and workpiece deflection are going to be happen due to the different cutting loads and cutting temperature. Due to this, the surface irregularities are going to be formed, and these surface irregularities are known as a waviness. The next one is a lay. So lay are nothing but these are the predominant direction of the surface irregularities. Lays are always in any one direction starting from the edge. With a figure I will explain here. Then surface flaws. Surface flaws are nothing but these are the randomly spaced irregularities. These are comes from the raw material. Whenever the raw material you are taken from the machining operation, then if you are continuously machining, so due to the inherent defects, due to the let us consider in the forging operation, you are producing the raw material with the forging operation. Some inherent defects like a blow holes, like a inclusions, these are going to be cracks are going to be formed in the initially forging operation, and that workpiece you are when you are working with the machining operation, these are going to be formed, or these are going to be open from the mid of the workpiece, and this type of lays is called as a surface flaws. Now with this figure I will explain what I have told about lay. Lay is the prominent layer in a direction starting from the edge. So these are the lays, you can say the lays, and surface flaws are nothing but inclusions and blowholes. So these are the surface irregularities formed at any instant of a workpiece due to the primary metalworking processes like a forging or casting operation. So in forging and casting operation, whenever you are producing the workpiece, due to the surface defects, the inclusion and blowholes are going to be produced, and when these workpieces are machined under any machine, the inclusion and blowholes are going to be formed. Now the small amount of area known as a, let us consider this area A, it is going to be magnified here. I have shown here this particular area to enhance the waviness and roughness. Just we will take this only this amount of area, and we have magnified this. So A magnified, this only this area is going to be magnified. Now this is known as a waviness, right? So waviness are surface irregularities due to the chattering or deflection of the tool and work surface. Now the distance between the two peaks is known as a waviness spacing. The distance between two peaks is known as a waviness spacing, and the distance between crust and root is known as a waviness height, right? Now, taking this small area like write a B. So magnifying this B, see here, this is the B magnified. If I magnified that particular small area, we come to know the roughness. Now see here, the roughness is like this, right? So these are the peaks, these are the valleys. Now the distance between two peaks is nothing but the roughness spacing. So these are the tool marks left during the metal cutting operation on a machined surface. So these are very small in nature as compared to the other one, that is distance between the two peaks is known as a roughness spacing. Then this cutoff length is meant for 1 mm. So whatever the figure I have shown here, this is only 1 mm. So cutoff length is 1 mm, and the distance between the two peaks, so this is the valley, this is the peaks. The distance between two peaks is known as a roughness spacing, and this is the mean line. So surface finish refers to the roughness, surface finish refers to the roughness spacing, then another two are the surface flaws, blowholes, right? So these are the refers to the surface finish. The next one is the effect of machining parameters on surface finish. So what are the parameters which will affect on the surface finish structure? First one is the cutting tool geometry. So we can say that here, larger the rake angle, smaller the cutting forces. If you provide larger rake angle on a cutting tool, there will be a lesser cutting force, and when the lesser cutting force is there, there is a small deflection, or the waviness height is very small. So we can say that the optimum tool geometry will give a desirable surface finish. Next one, workpiece geometry. Long slender workpieces have low stiffness against the both static and dynamic forces. If you use the small length workpieces, there is no problem with the both static and dynamic forces, and the waviness is very less. But when you use the long workpieces whose length is very large, then these type of long workpieces are low stiffness against the both static and dynamic forces. Due to this, the waviness is maximum in this case. Therefore, the machining parameter, second effect of machining parameter on surface finish is nothing but the workpiece geometry. Therefore, long slender workpieces will provide the lesser surface finish, and that there is waviness is maximum there, right? Next one, machine tool rigidity. So machine tool rigidity, as the name indicates, if the rigidity of a machine tool is maximum, there should be a lesser vibration, there should be a lesser chattering. Due to that, the surface finish will be maximum. If the machine rigidity is very low, then the vibration of the machine, the chattering of the machine is maximum. Due to that, the waviness is formed in a greater extent. That leads to bad surface finish. So always the machine tool should be high rigid in construction. A good base is provided to the good machine tool rigidity. Next one, workpiece material. So it is well known fact that low hardness and high ductile material are not suitable for good surface finish. If you need the good surface finish, then the high hardness material and low ductility materials are going to be used. Means surface finish is maximum on the high hardness and low ductility workpieces rather than low hardness and high ductility workpieces. Therefore, the workpiece material, if you use the very high hardness and low ductility material, that will give you the larger or good surface finish. Then last one is known as a cutting conditions. Cutting speed tends to improve surface finish. So cutting condition in the sense, if you use lower cutting speed, the feed mark left by the tool will be maximum. If you choose very high cutting speed, that leads to the vibration or chattering of the machine. Therefore, optimum cutting speed is desirable to improve the surface finish. Not high cutting speed, not very low cutting speed. So the optimum cutting speed is desirable for the good surface finish. Okay, thank you.